Yeah, I was born and raised in DeFuniak. My grandmother on my mother's side was from Louisiana, but I don't know a lot about that side. My dad was raised in Coffee County, Alabama, and so they somehow met. I do not know the story of that. He was in the Army when I was born in '43. I went to school in the elementary, and the kids that were in our grade, we were friends all the way to high school. And at that time, Walton DeFuniak had the only high school, so all the kids from around the county came to Walton High School for 9th, 10th, 11th, or 10th, 11th, and 12th, I believe. And these were kids that we played basketball against, and they always beat us. My dad used to say, those girls have picked cotton and plowed all day, and they're tough, and they were tough. We had a gym to practice in, and they had an outside asphalt if they were lucky. But anyway, we all got to be really good friends, and we had a good class. And I was in the band, head majorette my senior year, and like I say, we still have our reunions. We used to get together every year. Now it seems it's every 5. We just had one last year. Yeah. Jackie Hodges and Regina Williams, her dad was the veterinarian. Sonny Casey, his dad had the grocery store. Raymond Boland, I know I'll leave some out, but we just had a Gerald, gosh, I can't remember his last name now. He was an attorney in Chipley for years. But there wasn't a lot to do. We went to the skating rink, and the movie was there at that time. And on Saturdays, 9 cents, and you saw the double feature. And skated around the lake yard. I remember that all the way around it, and then in that section now that's a kind of a park or a stage. But anyway, that was about the fun that we had. Like I say, we had a good time. I worked after school at the dime store, and then I worked for Mr. Chandler, who was a CPA after school and on Saturday. And I learned a lot of bookkeeping, and that was the old-fashioned kind where it was done with a pencil and pen, and not so much a pen. Then when Billy and I married, and we came here, we mingled our families, and so I have 2 girls, and he had two girls and a boy, but now we're just one, is the way I look at it. And but what we used to do in DeFuniak, my mother, my grandmother, and a lot of people, they would come to town on Saturday, park up on the main street and watch the people go by, talk to people, and that you didn't see very often. And that was kind of the fun part. And then when I came here, I worked at the bank in Valpy for a long time, and then we had the Tasty Freeze, which was kind of a gathering place back then, and that's where the beach people came through town at that time and made that dog leg there. And so anyway, the girls grew up, all of them, and the one boy, Craig, and so Billy and I, he stripped part-time, and I worked at the bank, and then I got involved with the band at school and the band director, and worked with them some after school. And then we got involved in Grit and Grace. Was 10 years of my life, and that was interesting to get to know some of the old people, get the old stories, and but it was a good time. We had just a really good time. Met people that we didn't know, people from across the bay that we didn't know. That was a big part of. Started in 2000, and just got a bunch of people. Well, some folks went up to Miss Ann, and some folks from across the bay went up to Georgia to Swamp Gravy.
Right.
And they said, we can do that down here. So they came back. We had a big meeting up at the city hall, and put this together and started. And our first play was over at the Heritage Church, Reverend Moon, and they just had the walls up, and they let us go in there, and we brought in bleachers, and everybody has always said that was the best one we ever did, but it was really homemade. But then we did different stories about different people. We did a story about letters from home, which was the war ending, and people that told their story, and we had the actual letters that Billy's dad sent his mother, and then we had some beautiful songs that Gentleman from Across the Bay wrote with Marie Gainey and Latilda Hughes. They were very good singing and writing these songs. And we did some farming stuff, and we did stuff about the rivers, and stuff about the people coming down here, and the Native Americans that were already here. And there's a beautiful song that Latilda does that about the Indians. Just worth your time to try to find those. But that, I got out, I had a hip replacement, so I was in 10 years, and that was just, I felt I had to get out. And anyway, we had it here at Freeport, and we just couldn't find a home. But we took it on the road. We took it to Chipley, to their city council and meetings. Took it across the bay to Kelly Plantation. And we took it when Walton County was a city, all-American city. We took a whole group to Washington and performed it there. And Matt Miller played the music, and we just had a lot of support. And we need to pick that back up really well again. And they're still doing it, and it's great. But I wish more people would get involved. But there's some books and there's some music that's of Freeport and DeFuniak. Across the bay, they did the Grayton store when the Al Capone came. Gosh, I can't even remember all the stories we did. But if people would look that up, and would really be great to do that. And DeFuniak changing. I knew it was coming when I was on the council the first time in 2000, and we were just knowing that it was coming. We had water and sewer. Mickey Morris was the mayor for many years, and he really knew what was coming, and we kept adding and adding to it. And but it was a small town. I can remember we had maybe 500 people voting at that time. I understand now we have over 20,000 people inside the city limit. It started growing, and then it would kind of stop with the economy, but then when it took off this last time, I don't think it's ever going to stop. But I worked at the bank, and then when I had Tasty Freeze, worked there, and then I went back into banking, and I was the first person hired at the Midday Bridge when it was open to sell the little booklets. That was interesting to see how that bridge grew and grew and grew until it was tremendous. I remember the day we sold the $1 million worth of those little books that everybody hated. But anyway, then I went to, there was a job opening with DOT in DeFuniak, and I went up there and worked for, gosh, I don't know, a long, long time. I retired in 2008. It seems that college is not required anymore, and I agree with that. And I think you're going to see a lot of people that maybe they don't have to have that college. They get something that's more hands-on, but do something that you love. That old saying, if you love your job, you don't work a day. But I would say try to find something that you really like. I always said I didn't like banking. I'd rather be digging ditches, but I don't know if I think that now. But I guess that would be the thing, to try to find something that you wanted to do. If that wasn't it, don't be afraid to change. My oldest daughter went to nursing school at nearly 40. She's been very successful at it, loves it apparently. So don't think it's ever too late.